Monday and Wednesday. Spanish exclusive news with El Profe Cortez, and on Saturdays featuring bands, mariachis, DJs live. Don't miss it. Find us on Simple Radio app and TuneIn app and all social media. TVO. The voice of San Joaquin.
What's up? This is Reggie Galindo, aka Thug Dork, with Seriously Funny, and my boy Dre.
What's up?
Es el baile de los queridos del pasado. Mira cómo baila mi mamá, bailando con mi hermano del pasado. Espíritus se juntan bailando, lleno de alegría y gozando. Pero qué buena, pero qué rica, pero que mira.
To Sabor Latino Show for the latest news affecting Latinos in the San Joaquin Valley, Tuesdays and Thursdays, Spanglish shows, Monday and Wednesday for all Spanish exclusive news with El Profe Cortez, and on Saturdays featuring bands, mariachis, DJs live. Don't miss it. Find us on Simple Radio app and TuneIn app and all social media. TVOSJ.org, the voice of San Joaquin. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to your community radio station, TVOSJ, the voice of San Joaquin. And what is that song that I hear in the background? Sledgehammer? Hey, Kevin, how are you? Can you hear me?
How are you?
I'm doing good. Sorry, didn't have my speakerphone on. Welcome to your community radio. Hey, I hear something is on the rise, and you know what? I'm excited about today.
That's a good thing. So am I. So we both got something to be excited about.
Yes, so are you ready to do your first show?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well,
Oh, yeah.
I've got your music playing, and, I would love to continue playing the music in the background, if you don't mind, while you do your stuff.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah?
That's fine.
Okay,
Yep.
wonderful.
Ready to roll.
Okay.
Give me my cue and I'm good.
All right, go ahead and begin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the first edition of Simmons On Sports. And what this is, well, a brief explanation, is to let you know that the show is basically going to be about the things in the sporting world from a local perspective, from a regional perspective, sometimes even a national perspective. Lots of our, lots of things that run across in life involve our love of sport. We just had the Super Bowl just recently, the 49ers were involved, and, everybody here was extremely excited and subsequently disappointed. But the game itself brought a lot of interest, and in fact, it was one of the highest rated Super Bowls ever. So those are kind of things we'll be talking about. Now, from perspective, one of the things that I'm going to start off with today is we're going to start talking about high school sports. Like, for example, tonight, you've got games going on between at the high school basketball level. Tonight, Edison is already clinched, but Edison will have a game, I believe Edison's already clinched. So they're a playoff team at this point. And tonight, you've got Stagg versus Chavez, Edison versus Franklin, and Bear Creek versus Nair. The class of the SJAA, I would say right now, is the Edison Vikings. Right now, they're sporting a 19-8 record. They're undefeated in the SJAA. Right close behind them is Bear Creek. Bear Creek is 15-2 and 17-2 in league. The Vikings this year have a new coach, a new kid by the name of DeAndre Hawthorne. Edison is a interesting ball to watch. Have a lot of talent. They're gifted in a lot of ways. They have some size, and they are an aggressive, attacking ball club. And in the future, I think that the future is handle. They have a lot of seniors this year, but then again, the cool part about high school sports is the replacement on your JVs, your freshmen. I consider them to be one of the threats to go have a nice playoff in the CIF playoffs, and I think that will be an interesting, interesting set of circumstances to see just how far they go with a brand new coach in the first year. And then next we have the CCAL, which is the Tri-Athletic League, and you've got an interesting economy. You've got three teams. Basically, at the top of it, Modesto Christian, Modesto, who's 18-9, that's been in the league. And then this Friday at the University of Pacific, you're going to have a game between the two teams fighting for second place, which would be Lincoln High School and St. Mary. And they're going to be playing at UOE. That in itself would be very interesting because the last game we played was at Delta, and St. Mary's beat them by 6. And Lincoln since then has beaten Modesto Christian, hasn't lost the game. So the interesting part about all that is to see a rivalry in such as St. Mary's and Lincoln turn into what is always going to be a barn burner just because the two schools don't like each other. I have a personal thinking because I am a St. Mary's fan, and anytime I play Lincoln, it's a matter of death, so to speak. But at any rate, that game is Friday at 7 o'clock at the University of Pacific. So if you care about local athletics, care about local kids and what they're doing, you might want to mosey over to UOP and watch a pretty good basketball game. My guess is that there'll be a lot of people there. It's going to be, the atmosphere will be highly charged, because it would be anyway. But it's going to be highly charged because you have two teams that are pretty good, that both have some playoff seedings and things like that on the line. And of course, the most important part was they don't like each other. And that always
not good.
Makes things a little more interesting. So, like I said, it's Friday, 7 o'clock. If you're not doing anything, want to see a very interesting contest, you might want to go check that out. Now, also locally, one of the things that has happened is we had a kid that played for the Stockton Kings, and he's a local product. He played at St. Mary's High School, and he went to UC Santa Barbara for college. And after he graduated from college, he bounced around a little bit, and he ended up playing when the Sacramento Kings moved their G League team down to Stockton from Reno. He ended up making the team this year, and he had an outstanding season. Well, actually, did last year, and he had an outstanding season this past year, averaging well over 20 points a game. And he looked like he was ready to come up. And unfortunately, it wasn't with the Kings, but he got called up by the Miami Heat. And it's what I enjoyed getting the chance was to see him on television. I watched the game on TV the other night. Miami Heat. He got in early. It was the Miami Heat, the Clippers, the Los Angeles Clippers. Then he got in the game and hit his first three shots, and they were all three-pointers. And I always thought from seeing the kid when he was in high school that he had a lot of potential. And it's good to see him reach that potential, and that other people across the country and across the NBA are starting to see that too. And it's good for us locally, because I always thought that the Kings are bringing their franchise down here to Stockton would be a good thing. And it's even better when we have the opportunity that being attached to the NBA brings, because the NBA, literally now the NBA is in this town, and the Kings are just 40 miles up the road. And so our local support of the Kings, the Stockton Kings, should probably improve. And I'm thinking it should be a lot more like sports games, where people, participate, show up, and just go have a good time and support the local ball club. And the Kings, it's a good time. It's fun. It's something that, it's cheaper than going to an NBA game or a Kings game. I can tell you that. But the other part too is that it's a local event. You got, it helps create civic pride. Because, it's rare when we get an opportunity to get on a national stage and show the kind of stuff that we have in this town. So local support is going to be huge. It needs to be huge for that franchise to maintain itself. And I think it's a wonderful thing, and we just had a great thing with Gabe being able to turn pro. So I give 2 thumbs up to Big Gabe, because I think it's a great thing for him, his family, and our community as a whole. Now, it's sort of a mixed bag sort of thing today in honor of Black History Month. Today, I posted an article I wrote about William Fenton Russell, known, of course, as Bill Russell. Now, Russell is a very special individual. He's my hero, and I'm not to throw that word around without importance. I mean, if I call somebody a hero, you can just believe that I believe that. He is a semi-local product. He's from Bolton, California, and he went to McClellan High School. Today, as coincidence would have it, his 86th birthday, and I've had the opportunity to meet Mr. Russell, and I told him today happy birthday, as I wrote the article in his honor. He went to McClellan High School in Oakland, and then college at the University of San Francisco. And he was the second player picked in the 1956 NBA draft by Boston. Well, first selected by St. Louis, and then to the Boston Celtics. Russell, in 13 seasons as an NBA basketball player, won 11 world championships. He was most valuable player of the league 5 times. He was an NBA All-Star 12 times. He was All-Star Game MVP once, and first team NBA 3 times. All defensive team, 1969, and rebounding champion 4 times. But what makes Bill Russell special to me isn't necessarily the stuff he did on the court. Bill Russell was a pioneer of civil rights, and he unfortunately dealt with a lot of situations that would make his personal outlook in terms of civil rights come to the forefront. As he played for the Celtics, he experienced a lot of situations that were unfortunate because, to be honest, in the city of Boston, they didn't necessarily welcome him. In fact, when he was playing in Boston, one of the biggest issues he ran across was actually finding a place to live. Now, while you would say, well, hey, how hard is it for an NBA player to find a place to live? Well, he tried to move to 4 separate communities. All 4 separate communities went and signed petitions to not allow him and his family to move to those areas. And they did so because they didn't want a person living in those areas. Now, you would think that a person of his character, college educated, very smart man, a young, budding young family, and one of the best players in the league, and sitting in the league in which he helped them win championships, that wouldn't be an issue. That you wouldn't have a problem with assimilating in a community like that. Oh, if you don't know much about the city of Boston, they have their issues. And one of those issues, of course, was segregation. And so during that time period, while he was playing for the Celtics, he dealt with some things that made him pretty bitter. He had his house broken into, racial epithets scrawled on the wall, people defecated on his bed. I mean, just all kinds of horrific things. But yet, throughout it all, he never changed his perspective on civil rights. And in fact, he kind of redoubled his efforts. In 1907, there was the issue of the Olympic Games, which were being held in Mexico City in 1968. And in fact, you'll remember that Olympics was marked by Carlos Smith giving the power salute during the national anthem. Bill Russell got together with Jim Brown and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and several other professional athletes, and they came out and gave a public statement. That public statement was that they were going to protest or boycott the 1968 Olympics. If you'll remember, in that year, in 1968, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did not play on the Olympic team that year, though he was eligible and he was asked to do so. But he felt as if that it was time for America to readjust its position in terms of civil rights. And he didn't understand how you could have an athlete go and play in a USA across his chest, go out and participate, play, win a gold medal, and then come home and deal with racism and discrimination. The same sentiments were echoed by Muhammad Ali. When Muhammad Ali in 1960 won a gold medal in Rome in the boxing competition, Ali was from Louisville, Kentucky. And fortunately, I got to hear this story directly from the horse's mouth. And what he said that day was that once he got back from the Olympics from Rome, back home, he wore that medal on his chest every day. He slept in it. He the bathroom in it. he took a shower in it. He took it off. And he was proud of it. And he thought, this is something I've done that everybody's going to respect, everyone can understand. So he went to a restaurant in Louisville, a restaurant that, he's been going to for years, and for years he always went through the back door. Well, this time he figured, I just want a gold medal. I'm into the front door. He tried to do so, and he sat down and ordered. And he ordered a hot dog and I think a vanilla Coke. The lady behind the bar looks at him and says, what are you doing? He says, well, I'm here to order. I want a hot dog and a Coke. And Lennox says, you're not supposed to be in there. You're not supposed to come in that way. He looks at the medal, picks it up and holds it for him and says, lady, do you know who I am? I'm Cassius Clay. I just won a gold medal in Rome. The woman said, that gold medal means something in Rome, but it don't mean nothing in Louisville, Kentucky. That right there hurt him. Basically, he took us, and as the legend goes, he went down to the Ohio River, took that medal off his chest, and threw it in the middle of the Ohio River.
Wow.
Nobody has ever recovered the medal because nobody knew he had done it. But he felt, what good was it for me to have a gold medal when the same treatment that I got before I came here, I'm getting it now. So I take that and I just juxtapose it to what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was saying and about what Muhammad Ali was saying in 1967 and 68 in terms of the Vietnam War, and the same with Bill Russell. These were men that were in situations where they had a leg up on things because of their athletic prowess and because they were thought of in a different perspective than the average black person in Louisville, because they were athletes, they were famous, and they were successful. But at the end of the day, all three of them all came to the conclusion that none of that matters. If my personal and if my life doesn't change any, if the world doesn't change any, if America doesn't change any, then everything that I do as an athlete is unimportant. So they took the idea that, we're going to have some sort of protest about the 1968 Olympics. We're going to protest either we're not going to participate, or everyone's going to get together and decide how they want to protest. Bill Russell was one of the people behind that, and also another individual as well, as by the name of Harry Edwards, Dr. Harry Edwards, who I hold in high esteem because he was one of my teachers in my sports sociology class at Washington State University. He was our guest lecturer a couple of times. And he introduced me to the book that he wrote called Sociology of Sport. And what that book did was it gave me the opportunity to understand that sports can actually transcend life. And it actually creates public policy. Because one weird things in this country is if you can play with people, you can hang around with people, you can change things. And a perfect example came with Jackie Robinson. And, when he first broke into the major leagues, that was the impetus for desegregation, for the end of the segregation of public schools. And it led to a lot of different things because people began to accept and understand that if this man can play baseball with white players, then we can also live with black people in society. So the idea that we have to be separate in a country that prides itself in unity, and we're all supposed to be, Americans, that this is unacceptable. And it took sports to do that. And you had several people in the sporting world that made a difference, chipping away at the mantelpiece, per se, of segregation and racism through their inclusion in sport. The Boston Celtics in 1950 drafted a guy named Chuck Cooper, and he was the first African American to play basketball. This was after Jackie Robinson and after Larry Doby. And Larry Doby was the first black man to play baseball in the American League, while Jackie was the first black player to play baseball, period, he was in the National League. Shortly after Chuck Cooper became the first black player. And the NFL has had a weird thing. The NFL had black players way back when it first started, when it wasn't the NFL. But then, from about the late 40s, all the way up to about the 50s, you had that same issue. Well, there wasn't that one keynote moment where they had an athlete that they decided that they would allow a particular black athlete to participate in the NFL. But at any rate, guys like Bill Russell are the ones who sort of put a fork in that. And that whole concept that, being an athlete or being famous doesn't change who I am. And until we all treat each other the same, this doesn't mean anything. So I said all that to say that Bill Russell, in my opinion, was the kind of guy that I always aspired to grow up to be. And when I say that from the perspective of being a person who broke barriers, a person who was the first, the person who was a trailblazer, the person who made the tough decisions sometimes to take off establishment for the better good of all of the other people. I always wanted to be that guy. And for those of you that know me, I went to St. Mary's High School. And when I went to St. Mary's High School in 1975, I was one of exactly 10 or 12 black people in the entire school. And how I know it was that many is because I counted. And that made me a trailblazer, like Bill Russell. And I played with my teammates who I revere greatly. And we all played together. We were a championship ball club. And we learned to all get along and understand each other. And my goal in life has always been to be the person that they would look at and be able to say, you know what, if anybody says anything negative about black people, you know what, I know one black guy very well. He's like a brother. And I'm not going to sit here and listen to that nonsense, what you're saying, because none of that's true. And that's what Bill Russell brought to the NBA. And that's what made me feel good about being myself, because I got to be sort of, in a small way, that same guy. And so, with that said, it makes myself very happy today to wish him and wish Bill Russell a happy 86th birthday. And once again, I have no problem admitting that he is my hero. He's somebody I've always strived and wanted to be. And so, with that, I have to say, happy birthday to my man, Bill Russell. On the other subjects, one of the things that we talk about, or that we will be talking about on a regular basis, is our local sports, the teams that we root for, from a professional to amateur level, in terms of like the Kings or the Ports, or anything that we do here in this town that helps makes our city, something to be proud of. It's difficult at times to accept that Stockton seems to always be on the tail end of anything positive. And sometimes it's political, sometimes it's personal. But I don't understand how, as a group or as a city, don't embrace a lot of things that are positive here. And a lot of those positive things involve sport. And the one thing that I see that has, adapted itself well to this area is the hockey team. Stockton has been successful from day one. And they've always drawn a decent crowd. At one time, they led the league they were playing in attendance for several years. And so that was an example of what we can do, or what this area can do, when it comes to adding, giving something for the community to get behind. They do all sorts of different promotional things. They are very adept at their community image, and they support a lot of local things, which I find to be wonderful, because we need more of that sort of thing to give kids something to shoot for. And it's difficult at times to take a look at what we do as a city and not take it seriously and not take advantage of the stuff that's right there in front of us. But it's reaching a time where we need to coalesce and start to support things that are Stockton oriented. And so I'm hoping to expand a relationship and be a mouthpiece for our local sporting area, sports teams in this area, so that, we can develop a relationship and get people to understand that we need to support the things. That we can't, we can't always deal with the negative. And then, because you'll hear constantly, there's nothing to do in this town. Well, there's lots of things to do in this town. And sports is one of them. And it used to be, a while back, like when I was in high school, where every high school game, every Friday night, every high school basketball game was picked. Where you had, it was, butts to butts in the gym. Whether it was Franklin High, whether it was Edison, whether it was St. Mary's, Lincoln, didn't matter. People showed up in support of the community. And I realized that things change. And I realized that because of the dynamics of the financial situation of this town, that a lot of people who are transplants who don't have roots in this area come from the Bay Area, or they come from other parts of California to here. And so they don't feel the same commitment. They don't feel the same, they don't have the same belief system in terms of supporting our local kids. And when I go to high school games, that's one of the first things I try to notice is why is it that, we don't that they're not sold out like they used to be. And a few of the people that I've spoken to on this issue, a lot of them are very honest about it. I'll just tell you, I have a commute. I commute to the Bay Area. I'm up at 3:30, so I can get to work at 6 or 7. I work until 4 or 5 o'clock, and I have another 3-hour commute coming home. By the time I get home, I have so much stuff going on, or I'm exhausted. So I don't feel a sense of community. Yeah, my kid may go to school at so-and-so school, but, I'm tired. I have other small children and all that kind of stuff. So I don't feel a connection to any of the local stuff. And I understand that, because part of what the experience of living in this town is to know that most people, especially now, that live in this area aren't from here. It used to be back in the time, when I first grew up here, that, this was it was a definition of a small town, if you can call a small town 70,000 people. Now we've got about 4 times that. And yet it still has a small town feel, but it's not a small town anymore. And a lot of people that are here are transplants. When I say transplants, I'm not being negative. I'm just saying they're just different people that don't have roots in this community. They may have, family members that have lived here, but they themselves didn't live here. And so they don't have a connection. And I think it's time that we start working on that, start discussing and getting people drawn in and brought into what's right here in town. And so I think we should all support and spend more time reaching out to some of these people to get them to come out to participate, to be a part of our local community. Because it's very difficult at times to, go to a high school basketball game and see 100 people. And most of those are kids that go to school there, and that's on either side. The importance of high school sports is it keeps kids from being involved in things that we really don't want them involved in. And one of my previous jobs was I worked at a at-risk youth facility.
And because we are live, that happens every now and then. That's okay. We're going to get him back on air. And of course, that was Kevin Simmons. He's a very good friend of mine, a beautiful person, a beautiful soul. And this time, this is a great opportunity for him to, do his own show, introduce what he does in the sports area. And in this area, in the Stockton area. So I hear him when he says, let's connect. Let's connect with the people out there so that way, we come together. We come together in a way that is so awesome. So I truly hear him. So Kevin, did we find you again? Okay, we lost you there for a little while there. And I was just kind of filling in what a special friend you are and an awesome person. And the fact that you're doing this awesome show, I'm just touched. My heart is just touched. And so I was just kind of letting them know who you were and just giving them just a little information until I was able to get you. Now, this is something that's going to happen every now and then because, of course, we are live. And, technical difficulties will happen. Drop calls will happen. But we are back. So here he is.
Well, I'm glad I'm back. I didn't even realize I had been cut off.
Yes. Definitely got to check your phone so that way you know you're still being broadcast. But I managed to get you, Kevin. I managed to get you.
Thank you.
So please continue.
Okay. I was discussing our community involvement.
Yes.
What was important what's important, I believe, to our community is that we get more people involved in what the kids are doing. Because the kids, I don't want to sound, precocious by saying that, all the kids are our future. Well, we already know that. The issue is, what we have to do is make it so that our kids understand the sense of community, that everything that they do affects what happens in the city. And that's from, having a focus to not staying out of trouble, to the academic side of it, to just being good citizens. And sometimes that gets lost in the sauce. And so I'm hoping through this that I get the opportunity to sort of pull us all together, get the opportunity to discuss and put out there some things that people want to talk about. And so as we gain momentum with this, one of the things that I want to do is get people to contact me with things that they would like for me to discuss that they find important. Part of this experiment, part of this idea is to figure out ways to bring to the local area stuff that affects people, that gets into the heart of what they're interested in. And so I think one of the best ways to do that is to give people the opportunity to have access.
Right.
So at some point, as I tweak what we're doing with all of this, I would like the opportunity to be able to answer questions and get people talking, get people to communicate with each other, and give our community the opportunity to pass off things to each other, to learn things from each other, and then also in the moment make everything, build off of it, because the kids are the ones that get affected.
Right.
The kids are the ones who see what we do. The kids are the ones who have so many different things and distractions. And, part of that has to be as adults, we have to give them things to keep them focused. And there's some things coming down the pike that I'm working on that I hope offer some of those things. And this radio show is one of them.
Yes.
So
yes.
At some point, that's one of the goals, is to get people talking and get people to participate and be a part of what this is all about and what we can do as a community.
Beautiful.
So with that in mind, that's the whole purpose of Simmons On Sports. And the a good way to segue it would be to say that internally it has to be an organic thing. I've never seen anything be successful when somebody just throws an idea in front of somebody and says, there it is. That doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It has to be a combination of, hey, here's a great idea. What do you think? And they say, hey, man, I like that. That's good. But you know what? You might want to consider doing blah, blah, blah. Or how about this? Or how about that? Because then that's how things become organic. It builds from the inside. It creates from its own, its own form. But it does it in a way that allows people to feel like they're a part of it. And that's what this is going to be. And like I said, today is the launching pad. Today is the, opportunity for me to, for anyone out there that's listening, to be able to count on being able to get access and, have their questions answered or ask questions. And that's how you build an organic or inorganic thing.
Awesome.
And so my job is to do that. And I'll make that happen. And I just hope that, we can build from this and get the community talking again and get the community up on things and considering this to be the beacon of light for that. So with that, I also, I'm going to throw in a couple of other things that I think need to be part of what it is that we do. One of the things I think that is going to be key to making this radio show a success is to bring in guests. I've had the good fortune over my career. I've done a lot of weird things. Some of them have been sports oriented. Some of them have been just stuff that I tried. For example, when I got done playing in college, I went and tried out for the Los Angeles Clippers twice, and did very well both times, but was ultimately released, which kind of sucked. But I got to travel a little bit. I got to go on a tour team, and that tour team traveled around to different parts of the world and got to show our wares off to see if anyone would be willing to sign us to be able to play in some league overseas. And so I got the opportunity to do some traveling that way for quite a few years. And I've met a lot of people from a lot of different parts of the world, and a lot of other famous athletes. And then while I did that, I also became a VIP bodyguard. And I started working for Bill Graham Presents. And a lot of people may or may not remember Bill Graham. Bill Graham was a big-time concert promoter in the Bay Area during the psychedelic 60s. And he was good friends with people like, the Mamas and the Papas and Peter, Paul and Mary and the Rolling Stones and the Who and the Guess Who, and I could go on forever. I think you get the point.
Yes. Yes.
And so when I was in college, I got the opportunity to work for him doing VIP bodyguard stuff because I'm a big guy. And people who wanted to try to figure out ways to get into people's dressing rooms or, have access to certain types of stars or musicians, I was a deterrent. That was the best way to put that. And so I got the opportunity to meet lots of different people. And I also met lots of different people in the sporting world. And I've maintained a lot of those contacts. And so in the future, with this program, I'm going to start to bring some guests in. People that, some of them are people that are fairly famous now, have been famous in the past, and some that are famous as we speak. And, the idea of cultivating those kinds of relationships with people like that is part of who I am, because I've never been one of those people who looks at people like that as being any different than anyone else. I've had the opportunity to work with all kinds of artists, particularly mostly music. And I worked with everyone from Prince and The Time to Ken Function to Tina Marie. You pretty much, and the Rolling Stones, the Who. I worked with a lot of different people, and that was the beauty of working in that particular industry, was just meeting all kinds of people. And so part of what we're going to do in this patchwork that we're going to put together into a beautiful quilt is we're going to start to bring in some people that can offer some perspectives. Mostly they're going to be on sports or the things that they were involved in, but at the same time also perhaps even a little bit of political stuff or a little bit of social stuff. I just feel like at this point, while Simmons on Sports is about sports, that's what it's centered on, it's not going to be the only thing that it revolves on. It's going to be an organic process. We're going to figure this thing out as we go. And there's lots of areas where sports and people intersect. And that's the issue of what makes conversation flow. It's when you have ideas, when you have thoughts, when you have things that you want to say or interested in hearing about, and somebody actually goes out and brings it to you. That's the idea. That's the point. That's what this is all about. And so I'm using this as my opportunity to get some of these things to some of these people, their perspectives out, things that they think, things that they look at, and you're going to find that a lot of these things are no different than yours. And that's the whole point, is that that you think your life is different. You think that other people who are doing other things live a different life than you. And to a certain extent, that's true. But in terms of how those people interact with others, or the things that they do on their daily basis, it's really not much different. We're all the same in that regard. And so I'm thinking I can help them bring a little bit of that into context to help the average person understand that this is, that we're not that much different. That we put on, our pants one leg at a time, as my dad would like to say. And so that's going to be a big part of this process as well. Also bringing in local guests, local high school coaches, local high school kids. I think part of that process of being a high school athlete, or even, just in high school, the idea of being able to express yourself, be asked questions, and be on the spot a little bit, I think that's a good thing for kids. When I was coming up, especially right before my senior year, and there were a lot of different things going on in my life that were really positive, I can remember doing interviews like 2-3 times a week, and it sort of led me or drove me to where I am now, where I'm comfortable on radio or on television because I've done that. I've already done those things. When I was in college, one year when I redshirted due to an injury, I had to miss an entire season. I got the opportunity to work on television, and I got to broadcast as the color analyst my college's basketball games. So I did that. I did 20 of those games while I was still in college and still on the basketball team. And I also got to do work in radio. I hosted a show similar to this one. Imagine that.
Wonderful.
And I got the opportunity then to interview some celebrities and athletes, and it was the type of thing that allowed me to sort of spread my wings a little bit, stretch out, and see what type of stuff that people would be interested in. That's what this is all about, is finding out what the people are interested in and giving it to them. And so this is all that. This is the first part of that. This is where we're headed. And so I'm looking to gain momentum with this each time that I'm on the air. We're going to start with a nice slow roll, and then we're going to take off.
I like that.
We're going to do some stuff and stretch the boundaries a little bit, see where we can take this. Just to give a little background, like I said, as I said previously, I went to Washington State University, and I played for Coach George Rabbit, and I was involved in the Edward R. Murrow School of Broadcasting. That was my goal. I wanted to be, you guys probably won't even remember this name, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I was a kid, I wanted to grow up to be Max Robinson. Mm-hmm. He was one of the first black news reporters on television. And then that mantle got taken over by a guy named Brian Gumbel. And I know you know who that is.
Yes,
and I decided I wanted to be that guy. So I took, journalism and communications and speech courses so that I could be comfortable in situations like this. And hopefully one day have a show where I have the opportunity to mold it and build it into what I want. And as life would present itself, what do you know? This is how it happened.
You reach out.
A dear friend of mine comes to me and says, you know what? Why don't you come on air and do a little discussion about some stuff you wanted to talk to you about Black History Month? I'm like, okay. So I come on, and I'm just being me because, I am me, last time I checked. And so I felt comfortable with it. And I thought, it'd be cool one day to be able to do a show again. And what happens?
I reach out again.
My friend Betty said, I got something for you. And me being the kind of individual I am, I'm like, okay, let's do it. And that's how we landed in this particular set of circumstances today.
And I'm loving it.
And from here on out, we are going to stretch some limits. We're going to take this to some boundaries. We're going to make some things happen. We're going to do some stuff. We're going to make it so that people have something to grab hold of and say, hey, man, you said this the other day, and I don't know if I agree with that. And I'm like, oh, yeah? Well, then tell me why I'm wrong.
Discussion.
When somebody says to me, hey, man, the other day, you said something there that really made some sense to me, man. I hadn't thought about it.
That hit home. Mm-hmm.
And then I say to myself, yeah, that made it all worth it.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. So this whole process is sort of going to play itself out by simply just going and doing and me doing me. So anybody that's going to be listening and thinking I'm going to try to be somebody else, you got the wrong show.
That's right.
Because I'm going to do me. And like I said, I'm open to criticism and I'm open to praise. Because that's the only thing that's going to make this thing worth it and make it worthwhile. Is being able to stretch the limits, talk about some things, and receiving some criticism, and telling it like it is. And as I'm sure you've probably all figured out at this moment, I'm not afraid to do none of that. I'm not built on fear. I'm built on charging forward and doing things, with no fear. I wouldn't call it courage. I would call it crazy. And then we're gonna see where this thing goes. We're gonna do some stuff. And each week, like I said, there'll be certain staples that you'll know that we're gonna be doing at certain times. And then there's gonna be times where we're gonna talk to some people and let them, ask them some questions and see if we can't open up who they are. And then there's going to be times when I'm going to give some opinion or commentary. And when I do that, it's going to be based on something topical that will normally be sports related, but every now and again, it might not be. It's just going to be an opportunity for me to open myself up, say some things, and let people hear what I'm thinking. And, if you agree or disagree, I get it. Let me know, because that's what this is all about. That's what the process should be. It should be about taking chances and seeing where things go.
Yes, connecting and communicating with each other. So,
Exactly.
Kevin, my friend, I'm so honored to have you, and I'm glad that you started the first episode. So I'm pretty sure people are going to look forward to your show. So how are they going to connect with you?
But I figured we'll figure it out.
Okay, if they have questions, if they have something they want to share, how are they going to connect with you? Would you like them to connect with you from Facebook, or
that's actually part of that through social media. Give them the opportunity to respond to certain things that I might say or ask certain questions, and then I'll have that opportunity to respond to those things on air.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Because that's, like I told you, I always got an idea. It's not necessarily a good idea. Sometimes it's not even a great idea most of the time, but it's normally an idea.
Okay.
I just want the opportunity to be able to make this thing grow organically rather than be regimented and not, and stuck in its own mud.
Yes.
Grow organically, and then we can figure out who we are and what we do as we go.
Okay. So connecting with the people, connecting with the community, and questions. That way you can give the answers. But that's really good. I like that. I really do. And congratulations on your first show, Kevin. Woo! I'm excited. I'm excited for you. This is going to be so awesome.
I hope that it was entertaining, if not entertaining, informative or educational.
Educational, my friend. Very educational. And know that Stockton Kings are knocking on the door.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. We gotta get the people locally to understand how important it is for us to make our community absorb what these people are doing, because it's really huge. It really is. And I think that sometimes we jaded in this town and we don't, look at things like that from what they are, which is a very important thing that we need to support. So when they're ready, I'm their number one supporter. So
wonderful.
Let's by all means, let's make that happen.
I can't wait. This is going to be so exciting. Now, my friend, this is very educational. Just listening. I learned so much just from listening. Like I said, you have the most awesome stories that you're sharing. And I love the fact that you are you, because I am me, and this is all I can be. I can't be anybody else, so I don't expect you to.
I don't know how to be nobody else.
And you're beautiful the way you are, and I believe, we express ourselves the way we can. And the only way I can do it is, like you said, being your own person. This is me, and I know that there's a lot of DJs out there that have like little personalities, little, type of characters that they want to, sound like. But yeah, I just can't do that. It's me that comes out, or it just doesn't.
If it doesn't come out of my mouth, it's going to ooze out of my skin. Either way, it's coming.
Either way, congratulations, my friend, to your first episode. I'm so proud of you and so happy that you are part of the Voice of San Joaquin. TVOSJ, yay! This is so awesome. The beginning of something so beautiful.
Thank you so much, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. And did you like the fact that I got your music? Woohoo!
Yes.
Sledgehammer. Woo! Okay.
That was my nickname back in the day.
Oh, was it really? Okay, I didn't know you had a nickname.
Well, see that. So apparently it wasn't as important as I thought.
Well, I'm happy to be able to play this music for your intro, and it will be your intro from now on, unless you change it and you want something different.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Well, today was awesome. Thank you, my friend. This is so cool. Now, anybody's going to have access to this on Facebook, and they can share it. So know that, let them know on your Facebook, and, let them share it, so that way more and more people will know to tune in. And I'll be putting it out on Facebook, and also our own page, Facebook page for the Voice of San Joaquin, so people will know ahead of time when you're coming on. And if you have certain issues that you want to bring up, you can also let me know, so that way I will add it in the intro. Okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right. What a blessing to have you right here on your community radio.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I look forward to all your future shows, because they're going to be a hit, my friend.
It's going to be fun.
All right. Thank you so much. And I will be in touch, okay?
Have a great evening, kid.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, you heard it right here on the Voice of San Joaquin, none other than, Sabor Latino with Betty Ramirez. And you know what? Kevin and I go way back, and he's my friend, and I just love him to death. He has so much to give in this community, and I'm just elated to have him be part of the Voice of San Joaquin radio. So look forward to his shows, because they're going to be coming up. And of course, it's Simmons On Sports, right? That's the name of it. And it looks to me like we're going to do like a show or 2 shows a month. I will let you know ahead of time, and we'll go from there. Okay. In the meantime, enjoy and share with others, and let them know that he is on air with us right here on Sabor Latino, the Voice of San Joaquin. This is Betty Ramirez signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do appreciate you in a big way. Thank you, and God bless.